get to that, though, let's take a look at the map bans, see where we're actually going to be playing.
Where will we play? Because, of course, this will affect even those patches that we're talking about, because in terms of which operators do what and whether or not this is going to be relevant on this map is a factor.
It is a big conversation, yeah. I mean, some operators just aren't for every map. Border and Clubhouse, the maps that will not be played here, as they were played apparently last week, or last play day.
Yeah, we had quite a bit of Clubhouse last play day, so it's not a surprise to see those guys. Probably won't see much Clubhouse today then because of that, unfortunately. But Consulate, the other one to go. We still have Coastline Bank. Oh, as I say that, there goes Coastline Bank, Oregon, and Villa. Always a chance Villa will be in there.
Villa's gonna get banned.
Probably. It'll be the second ban probably from EG.
I don't. Yeah, Evil Geniuses is not the type of team to bring us to Villa right now. Oregon going to be the final map, and that's what we'll see played. I think this is if I'm looking back, looking far back, I'm leaning a little bit to EG in the ban phase here. Yeah,
you can see the 100% win rate on it. They did play it just once, whereas Rogue have not played it at all this season. I mean, obviously they've played it a ton historically, but EG did win it 6-2 in their one match they played this season on there. So
I'm just seeing EG being very happy right now, but Rogue at the same time could totally play on Oregon. I don't think this is going to be too much of a slanted in one favor.
Both these teams have very strong coaches that are going to make sure the map bans go their way. So I imagine both of them think the map ban went their way. Because that's just the type of guys they are. They're like, well, map ban went exactly how we expected. So.
You're probably right. I mean, even if they don't think it went their way, they definitely think it went expected.
Yeah, exactly. So I imagine both of them coming very prepared on this, but it would be interesting to see if we see some of, for example, those hard breacher bans that you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Either Habana or Thermite could come into play. Could even see a mute ban, as we have seen it sometimes on this map.
Let's take a look at the community vote. Who's going to win this match?
Yeah.
You tell us.
Predict it. You guys know, right?
31% Rogue, 13% Draw, and 56% for Evil Geniuses. So not that surprising, although based on the performance of these two teams so far in the season, you would expect the counter.
Well, that's the thing is like some of it's faith in these teams. Like EG started off even rougher than Rogue, but did manage to make some of their comeback as well. Whereas Rogue did get some of their points from a forfeit, so maybe people are factoring that in and thinking, well, maybe EG should be above, but Rogue got a free match or whatever you want to say. Like, 'cause I know there's people that are going to be the fans of either or and are going to have different reasons for rating the teams differently.
We are definitely talking about two different camps when it comes to Rogue versus Evil Geniuses. Yeah. They are and have been throughout all of North American Pro League. Well, not all, actually. Since Season 3 of North American Pro League, they have been, fierce kind of
Since they became their own team.
Yeah, since they became their own team. That's when Season 3 was when EG came into being with, what were they called?
B3?
B3.
Yeah, Biggity Boop Bop.
And then they turned into CTM, and now Evil Geniuses, but that's all history now.
Yeah.
The point being here is these guys have been rivals for as long as they've existed together.
Yeah, well, they have continued to exist together. Most of EG has mostly existed together for the most part, other than swapping a few players. Both Slash and Young have switched back and forth between the two, but otherwise they've remained somewhat consistent, although Rogue has been the one to change a bit more, picking up easily in Geo a little bit later.
Well, if we're talking about Rogue's roster, they're not consistent even in the slightest. I mean, that's the slot I played for way back, and only one of those people is one of my old teammates, which is Slash. Everyone else has been rotated out, and it's the same for most people who've played for that team. It's seen a lot of alterations in the roster over time. Evil Geniuses, on the other hand, since they started up, they've only changed really 2 slots. They've kept a lot of the same players in there. And I think that's really them being comfortable with their roster, knowing what who they want to play with. But all that said, we do have a game to play. Let's load into Oregon and see what happens.
Yeah, I'm curious about those map bans. And we'll probably mention some of the patch note stuff when it's relevant throughout the match, since we didn't have a lot of dedicated section of that. But hopefully you should be somewhat familiar with at least some of that. As that went out live today, and it was on the TTS before that, things like that.
Yeah, so like IQ lost her grenades, and she gets claymores now.
They changed this too now, so it's not silhouettes anymore.
Ooh, I like that.
I didn't notice that before.
That's neat, yeah. Interesting. So we'll be seeing a little bit of a difference in the ban phase. Ying going to be the first ban.
All right, a surprising Rogue that not banning Blackbeard, just because, well, they've banned a lot of Blackbeard this season. I believe it was 3 times, 2 or 3 times at least. The one team that seems to be at least interested, although Blackbeard did get some changes, so maybe they've decided not as big a deal anymore. So Canadian with the nice puns there.
Evil Geniuses banning Blackbeard. Rogue will ban Dokabi. Or sorry, why did I just say Blackbeard? Ying.
So I brought it up too much.
Yeah, no, it's not your fault. It's just I'm a little bit distracted, I guess.
Oh.
And then that's their attackers ban. Now we have Mira. No surprise. I mean, none of this is surprising yet.
No.
Dokkaebi isn't as banned as some other operators,
Definitely
but she
not.
kind of contributes to the same role as many others that are frequently banned, such as Lion.
I guess that means they want to be able to roam a little more freely on this map, which means we could expect a bit more roam play out of Rogue, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that's what it's encouraging. Interesting to me that we didn't see any hard destructor bans. We do see that actually frequently with teams that are trying to upset the meta. They'll ban out a Hibana on Oregon or a Thermite on border and keep things kind of fresh. Well, fresh in a way.
Yeah, as fresh as it gets for this. But, I mean, we also see some other interesting ones, too, related to the hatch, whether it be Thermite, or I mean, a Thatcher or Mute, are ones that are related generally to that lobby hatch that we occasionally see banned as well.
I think the most interesting of all of these bans is my, well, not interesting, really, but most influential. It's going to be that Mira ban. I think the defenders took a much harder hit here than the attackers.
Oh, so Glaz not banned for once means Slash is going to take full advantage of that. Now, Glaz did receive a change in that his rifle is now slightly less strong. Not that it's going to matter with the huge fire rate it has, but we'll see how effective Slash is going to be on that.
I've also talked to a couple sources, and apparently Glaz, his recoil has been hit exceptionally hard. Like, with a muzzle brake now, his recoil is supposedly worse than it was pre this patch with a silencer.
Well, hopefully we'll get a chance to spectate some of those shots.
Yeah.
And get an idea whether or not that seems to be affecting Slash or not. We are going to see a 6th pick there to Lion. Oh, he was going to be IQ, but nope, Lion it will be. So that will be interesting to see if that comes out. I mean, I guess Dokkaebi's banned. You got to replace it with something. In this case, NVK going to be on that Vigil should be interesting to see. And Canadian actually going to be on Echo, something I don't feel like we see him on too often. But at the same time, you know, they've been changing roles a lot. So I guess that in itself, not a huge surprise. Necrox, though, it was surprising to see him play, or let someone else play Smoke just because he's been such a good Smoke. But at the same time, Young is such a great clutch player in a lot of clutch-like situations, and that seems like a good fit for Smoke.
Young actually has mained Smoke many times before in Pro League. I really don't like referencing the olden times, but back when he was on my, when I played with him, he was our Smoke main. And
I'm talking about before Necrox.
Really great on that role.
Yeah,
Necrox has been a Smoke main for a long time as well. Actually, even further back, you know, before Pro League even existed, Necrox was actually a Smoke main. So lots of experience to work with there. Either player could play that role efficiently.
Well, we will see some castle barricades going up. Not too surprising on this particular bomb site, which will be downstairs. They will be using that to help hold the meeting hall. But with Slash on that glass, it means they can start opening up a bunch of holes. Instead, he's just going to tap it enough, get ready to blow it open as soon as they want it open, which is right now. So Mute Jammer doing a little bit of work, but not enough to actually stop the drones. And now they are starting to spot NVK in this meeting hall here, just via the distortion.
Glass is a great cancellation of a castle. However, you have to keep in mind that each castle barricade is taking a lot of those shots, around 12, I believe, or thereabouts, to break. So with the limited ammo count that Glass has, you find yourself sometimes in a really bad situation, you know, running low on bullets.
Yeah. We'll see, though. A lot of that jammer work coming out there, so good job by BC in catching some of the drones at least. They're going to go to clear top floor first, which is good. Still a minute 46 left, but they don't have control of meeting hall, and that's the big difference here. Whether or not they could go for a plant, because they didn't necessarily have to open that castle barricade. They could have potentially left it there to help to push from lobby if they wanted to, but nonetheless, they also have not opened the lobby hatch yet. But now NVK taking advantage of the fact that castle barricade's down, going to be pre-firing just a little bit. And Eclipse, unfortunately, not going to have an open wall there to fight. So instead, just working the drone hole. And now we're going to start to see Hibana opening some things up, potentially here.
So it's been a very slow round for Rogue. They are going to eventually start opening up that drop-down. However, it took a long time to get here. And they still have not dealt with the roamers inside of Meeting Hall. That's NVK challenging onto the garage, looking for the fight. Meanwhile, Meeting Hall walls being opened up by those Excaros. There are no thermite charges from Rogue, so they're going to be limited in what they can hard destruct, but they know exactly what they need and what they don't. And on this main lobby take, they've got everything so far.
Yeah, they're just clearing out the barbed wire, which is slightly stronger now, but not a significant
5%
difference.
speed reduction boost.
Yeah, not a big deal. It's definitely going to be something they don't want to deal with either way, though, and easily cleared out. But there's a nice flank from the tower.
Ooh.
Unfortunately, Geo getting the shot there onto Necrox is going to pay off.
And Easley's been down on the top floor, but Eclipse will get Canadian, and now Evil Geniuses are not looking good. After Easley gets picked up, MVK is going to get Geo inside of the main lobby. No more Lion. 18 seconds left, though. Rogue does not have much time to work with. They're going to need to go for that defuse plan if they want to win the round. No mirror windows means it's going to be slightly easier than it would be otherwise. Brian's going to go for the deep plant and expect there to be cover from his teammates. The smoke able to cover him from the side, and it looks like he will actually not be successful in planting the diffuser. BC with the perfect timing, denying Brian the diffuse plant on the desk in the middle of laundry.
All right, well, a nice defense by Evil Geniuses there. I like the adaptation from Brian, seeing the smoke come out and just pushing deeper instead, so that he wasn't necessarily trying to plant in the smoke or fight it like we tend to see players do. They'll most often just be like, I'm just going to stick it and try and plant in the smoke. Nope, he adapted. Unfortunately, it did not work out. Part of that, though, due to some of the missed shots from Slash not working out, could not catch that smoke on some of his... It's bouncing back and forth, basically, over the hole.
Yeah.
So that is maybe that recoil?
Something to talk about there. Slash was playing on the glass, and as discussed, his recoil seems to have taken a hit in the most recent patch from what I've been hearing. I have no first-hand experience with it so far, but I've been told by multiple people that his recoil's really heavily hit, and his damage did see a reduction. And this part was in the patch notes, so this we know. The damage on the OST from Glaz has been switched from 85 to 71.
Jeez.
So that's a pretty heavy hit. Although it isn't the worst thing in the world. I mean, Blackbeard's DMR used to do 72 damage, and now does 61 damage after this most recent patch. And even you know, at 72 damage, that DMR was pretty powerful. At 71 damage, Glaz's DMR is still going to be really strong.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, with the fire rate as well, just being, if you can keep it on target, that's just a lot of death coming out from it either way. Although NVK will be bringing t-shirts for everyone on Rook, and that might help fight a little bit against that. Not that they're going to be bringing Glaz this time, as they're going to be attacking upstairs this time. It's going to be dorms. They're going to be bringing that Capitao we were talking about earlier from Slash this time. Easily the one picking up the Lion, though, instead of Geo, who's going to be on Sledge. So we'll see if that factors in. And then Brian picking up that Habana. So bit of shuffle and who's playing what. BC surprisingly playing Legion, which I feel like Young has done a good job on this map frequently. But in this case, maybe Young will be good on the roam, and that might factor in as well to their success. So we are seeing Necrox back in the smoke, something we were just talking about, though.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, though, I mean, between Young and Necrox, both of them have been playing smoke since the beginning of time. So either way, you really can't go wrong there.
Exactly.
The attack from Rogue, so far just shaping up to collapse seemingly on the bottom floor. That might be the pressure they want to apply. They're also clearing out tower. The interesting thing from Rogue so far is they're actually going for a clear of basically everything.
Yeah, kind of all at the same time.
Yeah.
Which is risky.
They actually do have a player at almost every point outside the building right now. And
it's like a pentagram around it.
As you say, it's rather risky the way Rogue is playing this. If at any point Evil Geniuses decide to get aggressive and go for a peek, then you know they could equalize, and there's no one from Rogue who will be in a position, or not equalize, rather put themselves in the advantage, and there'll be no one from the other team to get a refrag.
And it's not just that they're solo, but it's the fact that they're not droning for each other necessarily, because they're all each individually peeking angles. Yeah,
and that's going to slow down this take significantly. And we did see Rogue with some struggle in the first round in terms of time. Ooh, easily, just narrowly missing out on a kill there inside a kitchen. That's going to be BC, who will be safe now. Now, this is interesting. BC is actually the bait, and NVK is the, well, the switch, I guess.
Yeah.
As he is in position from that desk inside cafeteria to support his squad mate.
They're not going to expect that Rook there. If he doesn't give away his position, that could easily work here against Easily, but he's coming from a different angle, and that might help a little bit. Looks like they are going for a window take, which makes sense for bringing the Capitao as well. Yeah,
Capitao is going to be really great at disabling any potential denial of the windows. And a little bit of shots there from Slashug onto Young. Does a decent chunk of damage. That pair actually hits pretty heavily.
Yeah.
And onto a 3-speed, you're going to do a lot.
Well, now the Rook has been spotted, so they easily will be a little more prepared for this. But this is a late take, and already hitting Legion mines, 47 seconds left.
And coming back to it, ooh, a down from Slash and the follow-up kill onto Young. Necrox has also eaten a lot of damage from Slash on these windows. And Brian will also get Canadian before a refrag from Necrox onto the main west window. Eclipse, trying to use his lifeline, has been thwarted in that attempt. Slashug just laying in some fire onto the A site. If any one of these Rogue players gets on the west window, it's some free, easy kills in this situation. And I think Easily has been the player who will be called to rotate, but NVK in the junk tower is actually trying to cut him off mid-rotation. He's gonna eat some damage. Slashug will get Necroc, so that's his second. NVK finally gets Easily on that west window. BC trying to deny control of dorms. He will deny control of the hallway. What a shot from BC onto Brian. Slash is extremely lit. BC is going absolutely insane, and he will secure the final kill. BC, what a clutch, what positioning. Evil Geniuses will get a second round in a row, thanks to the Legion.
Definitely a fantastic play by him. He just completely saved it. And there were situations where he was surrounded, but for whatever reason, he just had the timing or the call-outs to be able to kind of peek at exactly the right moment. But it was situations where, like you said, without droning, without the preparation coming out from Rogue, they were mostly just counting on peeking corners or comms or sound, and they got caught off guard time and time again. You saw Necrocs just hiding right in that window frame, peek up on him. It was situations where NVK snuck up behind. It was every single time Rogue were just caught off guard because they weren't doing their intel work.
Yeah, they're not really working as a team right now, and it's really noticeable. I mean, one of the main things was, like, for example, the easiest example is Easily pushing into Cafeteria. And he's pushing into Cafeteria, he has to clear through 2 different roamers down there. Yeah. But he's the only one droning out Kitchen. And he's doing this whole thing solo. So he never at any point manages to get into Cafeteria or get any kills. It basically is just a distraction. And then eventually when he goes for the rotation, one of those roamers has already moved over to Junk Tower, and kills him on the rotation over to West Window. So a huge concern for Rogue right now has to be that lack of coordination.
It seemed like the only thing that was working out for them was Slash's plays on the windows. Somehow he was going very uncontested and was able to even get in and go for the plant before BC stopped him.
Absolutely. And he did manage to get quite a lot of frags from that window, like you said. It was great positioning from him. Interesting that Evil Geniuses chose to challenge Slash on the windows. Very dangerous thing to do. Yeah. But all that said, we're going over to the tower now. Evil Geniuses, having successfully defended the basement and the dorms, will have to pick a third bomb site, and it is clear it will not be Kitchen. A little bit of a change here as compared to the normal. I think in North America, it's starting to shift towards tower as the third bomb site for Oregon.
Yeah, I mean, Kitchen is just such a difficult one to defend, and we've rarely seen it actually work. And it's been kind of, when it has worked, it's been very iffy.
The same thing really goes for Tower. I mean, the thing with Tower is usually it ends in a absolute, like, a burst of action. Yeah. A little bit of a brawl, so to speak. And
well, maybe defenders feel like that's better than just allowing them to come into that dining room and plant on the couch, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it would make sense. With Rogue, the way that they've been playing so far, they aren't going to be faring too well in that brawl sort of state for a very specific reason. Wow, Canadian, information from his teammate. Good job there. Coordination between Young and Troy. And they will get the first kill onto Slashug, the Capitao, who has been performing very well for Rogue so far. In fact, is their top frag.
Definitely been working out for him. I imagine those cameras are going to stick around a bit longer as there's not anyone doing anything about them, so this is not going to help the easy jump outs potentially from these guys. Canadian's going to have all the information he needs to predict these movements. He can see the ropes. This seems like a very flawed attack in a lot of ways right now.
Yeah, the way that Rogue is handling this attack is not really that great. Necrox is going to get the second kill for Evil Geniuses. That's Brian. Canadian, you can see, trying to go for another. He just will not relent. Yeah. Constantly applying pressure to the Rogue repellers on this north side of Tower. It's a very dangerous attack, that's for sure.
Nonetheless, whether he wins these fights or not, as long as he's keeping them off the windows and not dying, he's doing his job. Because once they get that top floor control, it starts to fall apart a bit for defenders. So as long as he can deny that, they can't really secure control of that site at all to go for a plant, unless they're really sneaky with the angle.
They've also lost their smokes, though, so Rogue are going to have trouble with that plant even more so. It's going to have to, we're going to need to see some radical change here from Rogue if they want to win this round. Perhaps getting the camera that's spotting them outside.
Probably not. And the ADS, you can see the red line on it, means it still has charges left in it as well. So Canadian a little bit safe from Geo's grenades as well as Eclipse's lifelines. Means he can stay up there even longer. They haven't done anything to burn that out. And another kill for Canadian. 2K before NVK closes it out. What a round for EG. that is why they pick tower, as you can see.
I have to say, Rogue looking kind of asleep at the wheel. I mean, you know, I'm trying to be fair here because the thing is, the expectations for Rogue are just not being met right now.
It just seems like the strategies they're choosing seem like off, to say the least.
That's exactly the point. Is their attack strategies so far have been completely uncoordinated. And for example, that round was, hey, let's repel on the north side of tower.
Yeah,
that was the extent.
Till Canadian kills us all.
Yeah, and that was the extent of the round. And there was not really much else to it. Previous rounds, you know, we saw when they were attacking onto the top floor, let's surround the building and then solo drone our way in. You know, for the first round, they did a basic attack onto the main lobby, opened the drop down, and they got it, you know, executed in a reasonable rate. But that's I guess they didn't have enough time in the end, and that's what ultimately cost them the round. So there's been a couple hiccups for Rogue so far, and this is not the team that we've come to expect.
Well, we'll see if they do a bit different this time. Like you said, this was one of their better attacks, was attacking down here on the laundry. So we'll see if they can make some adjustments. They are not bringing Glaz this time. Slash is sticking on the Capitao.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he has to know they can't go back to dorms because of the way the bomb site switched. So they have to kind of know that laundry is going to be the bomb site. So it's not a case where he's just like, oh, I'm picking my dorms operator. So they're going to be attacking this a bit differently this time, I would imagine.
I have to say I do like the rotation off of the Glaz. I think it's a little bit early after the patch. You know, the patch really just went live a while ago, and there are some, you know, major changes seemingly, and some things you're going to have to relearn. So if you're not comfortable with it, then just make a change.
Yeah. Interestingly, I don't think a single operator being played in this round was affected by the patch.
From the attackers, no, not that I can see. From the defenders, no. Interesting.
I mean, they might have been if there were shadow changes.
Yeah, see, as far as we know, they haven't been changed. But I have been hearing murmurs of a lot of changes that were undocumented. So I mean, and I don't want to talk about them here, but it's possible they were. We don't know.
Hard to say. Like I said, it just came out today, so we'll take some time to kind of suss out if there was anything unintended or undocumented. But either way, these guys seeming like they're just, it's not, I wouldn't say anything to do with the patch is what's hurting Rogue here.
No, definitely not. Their coordination is the main flaw in their strategy. I mean, they seemingly are doing, each individual is doing their own thing. You could see there a little bit of confusion even from the sledge. He's wondering, should I be droning myself in? Is someone going to drone me in? Should I be opening the door? You know, what's the next step? And all that, you know, those little things, they start to add up, and they start to spend a lot of the attacker's time. I like that they're making a change here. I like that they're going for a tower take rather than a main lobby take, since that didn't work before.
Yeah, they took that attic and meeting hall very quickly this time.
Yeah, and you could see the setup here from Evil Geniuses isn't especially great. They have established a decent, I mean, they have the control, right? But they're not exceptionally well set up to hold a push from the back hall.
The important thing is at least they backed off without losing anyone. So if you're going to have to back off in Turtle, if you got 5 men left alive, there's more of a chance you could just win it as a fight. And MVK actually pushing up very aggressively could have potentially caught someone off guard. But they have so many people left alive as well on attack, they're able to flank watch better.
You can see that Yokai drone is going to be droning the defender of NVK back into the meeting hall, calling out information. Good teamwork there between Canadian and NVK. NVK going to go for the fight, though, and he's actually going to lose it. So coordination, be darned if you can't hit the shots. And Rogue will get 2 to start off this round in the last minute.
That's a smoke down, too. This will help with that last 45 seconds.
Yeah, so the final push will be supported by a heavy man advantage and a lack of a smoke, as well as roamers far afield, unable to influence the actual site push. EE1D going to hold the defender still, but BC doing BC things, getting that C4 over the shelf. He has been doing great so far in this match, but Rogue has plenty of bodies to follow that up with. Brian will also get neck rocks, so a trade ensues. Slash gets BC. The final defender, Canadian from the hallway, will get 1, goes for the second, but cannot secure it. And Brian, with a little bit of, he's just making sure his crouch button's working, making sure that he can crouch whenever he needs to, and Rogue will take that round. The first one, though, for them in this half.
Yeah, that was a Like you said, that was their better bomb side attack to begin with, and they made a lot of changes that seemed to work a lot better, taking from the tower side, taking Meeting Hall, letting Evil Geniuses have a lot less map control, made it so they were able to attack much sooner in the round, not to mention a much better attack when they went to actually go for the site itself. I mean, it was a bummer to get C4'd out when they were going for the plant, but overall, they got enough kills out of it. They traded enough people. They killed 2 people prior to going for the actual push. So the overall, I mean, that was much, much better. They're going to be going back to dorms here, so we'll see if they can make some adjustments. What Slash was doing from the windows worked fine. It was the rest of the attackers that didn't seem to be able to impact the round enough in terms of the attack. Maybe we'll see that change this time, but Canadian going back to his old favorite Pulse there should be interesting.
Yeah, Troy on Pulse is a scary thing. Canadian can really make it work for him in ways that many others can't.
Especially on this bomb side, I feel like overall he's been very effective in terms of holding a lot of the map, a lot of map control solo, just by playing a kind of a roaming Pulse.
Yeah, he'll tend to play it down in the basement and slow down the attack a lot. There's a couple other players who are really exceptional on Pulse, but Canadian is one of the standouts, that's for sure.
Well, we'll see if this could be another round for Rogue, and then they'll go into the second half with just 2 points. But either way, you know, that's as close as you can get to halfway.
I got to be honest with you, Devin. If Rogue can get 2 points in this half, then they're going to be comfortable on defense. I would hope. I think the coordination problem Rogue seems to be facing right now is a little bit less extreme on defense.
Yeah.
They're going to be allowed a lot more freedom.
And a lot more intel just built into the setup.
Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of an inherent trait of defense. You don't have to worry as much about working with your squad. I mean, you do have to, but it's not as relevant, that's for sure.
I think some of that, for me, depends on whether or not Eclipse is able to play his roam game effectively. Same with Slash.
Agreed.
But easily, unfortunately, the first to go, So the line has not been working out great for them because of whether it be easily on it or it be Geo on it earlier. It seems to be dying before he can get full use of those EE1Ds.
We have seen that, yeah. I mean, last round there was some decent use for the EE1Ds, but this round it's not gonna be. So Rogue will be relying, I suppose, on that roam yet again from Slash as NVK gets reset in the kitchen. He's gonna be back at 50 HP, so not a huge loss on the Jaeger in terms of HP. You know, he got lit up pretty heavily from the Lion, but that's gonna just be salvaged.
No big deal there, as long as they can stay alive on the most important operators, which in this case might just be BC, just because he's been so effective in the clutch last time, as well as Necrox and Canadian, just to provide smoke and intel. But nonetheless, Slash is still the only one able to kind of put some pressure here on EG, but EG not falling for it this time. Like you said, last time they were over-peaking him. This time, maybe not so much. They're playing it back a little bit more, kind of baiting him in, which I think is the smarter approach.
Yeah, probably the right call. But yet again from Rogue, I mean, same as we've been seeing from them a lot on their attacks, extremely slow. Several different objectives, and that distracts them from the overall objective of getting that diffused plant. It will cause a little bit of a stall out as we get to the final minute of the round. Canadian, what a peek onto Slashug through the drop down. He's going to be able to deny the Capitao any more relevance in the round. And that was a really good read from Troy. Yeah,
that's definitely going to be a game changer in this round in terms of Slash was an important part of this. At least Geo took up his role on the windows there. Unfortunately for him, might have overcooked that grenade and did not land on his target either way.
Yeah, when you pull the pin, it really does make a very noticeable sound, so you have to be ready to compensate for any rotations. And you could see Young on that Ella, low HP, but able to rotate into the correct corner of dorms, and he will be denying this room to Rogue. Just horizontally sledged. That's Geo from the White Stairs window is going to lose the fight to BC, who was previously oh so exposed. Eclipse trying to come in, but enters into a crossfire. Now it's all up to Brian, who gets a double kill. That's his third, actually, in the round. He'll have to ace to win this one, and with a pulse below, it's going to be difficult. No C4 on the pulse, but potential denial with just the UMP. Brian eats some damages and goes for a drop to try and respond to Canadian frontally, and he will win that fight. Brian is absolutely on fire right now. He's only got 5 seconds left to find BC. He cannot make it back to the site in time, so there will be no diffuser plant. But a 4K for Brian.
Wow.
If he just had the time, potentially an ace.
Barbed Wire did get its bonus to the slowdown. There we did see it have an effect. I mean, to be fair, the Legion Mine would have stopped him either way, but...
I was going to say, I think the Legion Mine...
I want to credit the Barbed Wire case for something, and there we had something.
Absolutely. So
give us some credit.
Yet again, we see Rogue lose a round because of their poor time management, which is not necessarily because they're not watching the clock attentively enough. It's more, I believe, just due to their lack of coordination.
Some of it was also losing Slash when I think he was a critical part of that attack. Meant they had to make a lot of adjustments, and then Geo couldn't win the fight to adapt for that.
They also lost that. They also lost their Lion very early on, and that's gotta hurt.
Yeah. We'll see, though, like you said, once it switches around here, because you think Rogue might do a bit better here on defense, but interesting, we're going to see Jackal come out. He did get a slight change in the patch.
The one run we did see successful on that half for Rogue was the attack in through tower and construction. And the reason that was successful, in my mind, from what I saw, was very specific. There's not a whole lot to account for when you're pushing from tower. You know, it's a really simple push.
As long as you can take the third floor of it.
Yeah, and as long as all of your players are on the same page, it's really not going to be too complicated, and you should be able to get all of the different little, boxes checked.
But that's assuming that's not their defensive side, of course.
And every other attack from Rogue was onto his site or in a way that is a little bit more complicated than that, and they just were unable to get it done because they have so many boxes to check, and they're all trying to check their own box instead of doing it one at a time as you should.
Well, we'll see if they get a little more coordinated, and like you said, defense should favor their play style that they've been showing this match a little bit more so, but it is going to be hard to say. Interesting that Eclipse is going to be on Echo, as I feel like he's generally more of a roam player. He'd often play the Ella far past where Ella had been seemingly irrelevant. But in this case, playing a bit of a slower operator that's more of a site anchor.
Yeah, so
it's interesting.
The way that Echo fits into the meta right now is actually very specific. He's the information god, I've heard him referenced as, on the defensive side.
Mobile cameras?
It's not just, it's the mobile cameras, but it's also the fact that you're constantly on cameras.
Yeah.
You'll be using your mobile cameras, you'll be using the default cameras, you'll be using Valkyrie cameras. You are the person who makes those calls, who gives information to your team. And it's actually really hard to master for specifically for Echo, but it is a very important role.
Well, we'll see if that factors in. I do think it's interesting, though, because we are seeing more Echo play, and IQ hasn't been played, I don't think, once, which is both these teams have been playing it before prior to the patch. But Geo, with a nice early kill there onto their Lion as well. Lion just seemingly not long for this world for either team.
Necrox, though, is making it into the fight. Nobody's paying attention. Slashhug dispatched easily, and a double for Necrox as he gets, well, easily. Now he has full sight control from the hallway, but Eclipse is able to finally get the refrag. Young, though, with the follow-up, gets that position back into Evil Genius's favor. And now the roaming Rogue players are going to have to retake onto their own site. What a shot from Brian. He's absolutely insane right now. Young, holding a very safe angle, is going to lose it regardless of its safety. You can see Geo having a bit of a standoff with Troy, or Canadian, in the main lobby, and it's just Brian and BC who are trying to play into the site. Brian has the diffuser in hand in that B bomb site. You can see he's just going to try and hold out. Now, very deceptively, we still have a whole minute in this round at a 2v2.
No!
Canadian is going to be able to get a free kill onto Geo as he rotates into Classroom, leaving Brian in the 1 versus 2. And Brian will have to get yet another incredible round in order for his team to continue in this match.
He's definitely going to have to be fighting this. He gave away his position just a little bit there, but BC also going to do the same thing. They both know where each other are. This is going to come down to good timing. Unfortunately, he's exposing more of himself by his feet than BC is. Fortunately, Brian winning that fight against Canadian means now he just has to find BC.
The 1 versus 1 on 1 HP. Brian can only take one single bullet before he's dispatched. And the pre-fire through the box. BC will win the round, and 5-1 Evil Geniuses. They will guarantee a draw at the very least.
Well, it's definitely looking good for them. It has not been great at all for Rogue. Although that was, again, Brian bringing it as close as possible. He has been, like you said, doing very well this match. Unfortunately, the rest of the team usually dead by that point.
Yeah, Rogue has been struggling.
Yeah.
And I want to give them the credit. We've been seeing them playing great in the season. This is not the Rogue that I'm used to witnessing. I'm a little bit confused at what we're watching right now, Devin.
It just seems like, well, so we have not seen Rogue play this map this season. We have seen EG win this map this season, and we know it's a good map for EG.
And if we look historically, this is one of EG's best maps.
But that being said, the way Rogue's playing it, has just been very, very odd.
Little to no coordination for Rogue, and that's my main takeaway. It is a little bit worrisome. Usually when you see them pick an objective that's relatively simple, a goal, an attack, or a defense that's relatively simple, they can focus on it, and coordination doesn't play into it. Then you see Rogue manage to take it away. But that was only one round.
Yeah, Brian just way up there.
Top frag for the match.
Yeah, and unfortunately that is not having much of an impact when you look at the scoreline of 5-1.
Yeah.
I feel like he almost won that last round as well, despite being on such low health. It just happened to do the fact that you could shoot through those boxes, just not working out in his favor.
2 rounds in a row, Brian has been put into a 1-versus-1 and lost it. You got to imagine if the rest of the Rogue players are performing a little bit better, maybe getting a single kill in some of these rounds, then Brian would be able to clutch it out maybe.
I mean, Gio was so close to finding Canadian, though, that last time. He got impatient first. That was really the big problem.
So, Evil Geniuses starting their attack. Seemingly this time, they will be going on to a tower construction push. I like that they're starting with this right off the bat instead of going to it as a secondary take. It is a little bit fresh, and it did manage to net them a little bit of success in the first round when Necrox was able to just walk his way into the site with absolutely nobody fighting back.
Yeah, definitely worked out pretty good. And obviously, his ability to see footprints might have factored into that as well.
Oh,
he didn't
see
any there, so he's like, hey, it looks nice and clean here, and they good taking advantage of that. Now, the buff to him made it so he could scan from a farther distance. I don't think that's necessarily having a huge impact on the way Necrox is playing, but still,
8 meters of scan distance instead of 5 meters.
Yeah.
Also pretty significant range increase.
He is going to get slowed down by the smoke, though, but that's the smoke used early in the round.
Yeah, that's Rogue losing a lot of utility, but got to be honest with you, it's better to lose 1 smoke early than all of your smokes all at once in the first 2 minutes, or first minute even of the round.
Very true, very true. We'll see if that manages to slow things down a little bit, but Necrox is doing a good job not only getting control of the tower initially, but also droning from there to make sure Meeting Hall stays clear. Brian, though, the only one really going to be kind of contesting that from up here, but not actually from within the attic. So
it's a little bit worrisome to have Brian so far from sight, so aggressively playing, as of course he is the player that needs to perform, apparently, to get this victory. Eclipse going to use one of his yokai drones to gather information, and he'll probably lose it in just a second. Yes, indeed. NVK will secure that disable of the utility. But information has been called out, and Necrox is going to eat some damage from an unknown source as Young whiffs a flash inside of box. Brian is going to get his first kill of the round, and the first kill of the round total onto Necrox. So the Jackal first to be dispatched. Eclipse follows up with a kill onto Young. Finally, Rogue seemingly having some life. The Canadian's trying to frag back onto the box position, but it's a difficult angle to play, and he's going to actually miss those shots. BC will not miss his, however. A long angle through attic onto Geo finds the solution.
Definitely looking like Rogue might actually be able to get this round on the board, but even if they do, at the most they could get a tie at this point. So EG are in a good position where if they lose this round, they're not going to be too tilted off it, I would imagine. They should be in a good position to try and close out the next round. But there's still 20 seconds left to make this happen, and there goes Brian.
NVK taking out the top fragger for Rogue, but Slasha going to get Canadian, and a second for Slash. BC goes down. It's all NVK in a 1 versus, well, never mind. Eclipse with a long angle from the laundry closet will secure that final kill, and Rogue take their first on defense.
Definitely a bit of a tough fight. Took them 2 tries to make it happen, but that means they can't play it again. That means they have to go to dorms or somewhere else, which of course they're going to go to dorms, let's be honest.
They're going to go to dorms.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like EG are probably going to have a pretty solid attack for that, and may have to clear out even less of the map to be able to make this attack happen, which might give them a little bit more time to go for the execute if they don't execute as slowly as we saw Rogue doing on their attempt at dorms take. So this is going to come down to if they have the coordination that they have shown so far. This might be a difficult one to hold out for Rogue unless, let's say, they get some good jump outs or something else where they get kind of catch some of the attackers off guard. Canadian actually going to be bringing out that Blackbeard if he sticks on it. One of the other operators that did get a bit of a small change, buffing up his Scar, the MK-17, and then nerfing the DMR a little bit May or may not affect what he plays on it.
The biggest change for me on the Blackbeard, I guess we're not going to be seeing
Nope.
the Blackbeard, but the biggest change for me on the Blackbeard was actually the speed buff. 30% speed buff to when you have that shield up, or 30% reduction to the speed debuff.
Yeah, so
to be more precise.
He's slightly faster.
Yeah,
that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, but he's not crazy fast, and but it is going to be a lot faster than he was in the past. And you know, the loss of 10 10 hit points on the shield isn't really that big of a deal. From 60 to 50 isn't a big jump.
It certainly helps in terms of dealing with them, but yeah, it's probably not going to be a big factor.
I'm going to be honest. I think that this was less of a Blackbeard nerf, more a Blackbeard change.
Yeah.
You can't really call it a buff either, but it was.
They said it was for comfort.
Right. You're going to be a little bit more maneuverable, you're going to be a little bit less durable, but you have a more reliable assault rifle and a slightly less reliable DMR. So you saw 2 buffs, 2 nerfs. I mean, it's however you want to line it up.
It's just unfortunate we won't see it this round.
Yeah,
I mean, 6 picked off of it.
Onto the Ashe. You know, I know Canadian does like his Ashe, and he's exceptionally good at it. Really one of a kind. But we've always talked about this. If you play Ashe in this meta, you have to justify it by really fragging out.
Or be alive. The player.
But yeah, he does. But yeah, he frags out with Ashe.
Exactly.
The point being.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if that makes a difference, though. Canadian is pretty reliable on it. Necrox is going to be on that Lion this time, which we have not seen Lion live too long in a lot of these rounds here. So it'll be interesting to see if Necrox is a little more impactful this time, because that could hurt Rogue a little bit on any kind of roam they might try and do. Although it doesn't look like they're too heavy on the roam right now, other than trying to guard the kitchen, dining room area, which they have 2 people on at the moment.
You can see that a lot of information being gathered here by Evil Geniuses. This is what I really like to see. EG has a lot better coordination in this match. And again, I'll reiterate, Rogue typically is coordinated well, just not, seemingly not today. A peek from the bandit inside of kitchen, that's Geo, and he will eat some damage, but actually give the same back to NVK.
Yeah, it's a case where there was a slight change to the FAMAS, and that is now slightly weaker, and that might have made a little bit of difference on the damage there, but probably not a significant amount.
It's 37 damage instead of 40 damage per shot. It's not a huge change. Canadian get the first kill, Eclipse, the Jaeger, taken down. BC gets Geo as well, so that's the roamers inside of kitchen absolutely shredded. Rogue now, facing the loss here today, are going to be in a 3 versus 5 with no prospects in sight.
Definitely looking a lot better for EG today than we'd seen in some of the previous matches leading up to this one. And this is, of course, their big rival, so I imagine they put a lot into winning this, and it seems to be paying off today, whereas Rogue just struggling.
Got to be honest, though, if Evil Geniuses allow Rogue to bounce back, this could see a tie. I absolutely think Rogue has it in them. But from the beginning of this round, it looks like Evil Geniuses are going to lock it out. One thing to note here, EG have a huge advantage, but you can see how they're not pressing it unnecessarily. They're just continuing to play the round standard. They have the time, they have the utility, they're going to use it. Well, easily will get Canadian, so the first kill for Rogue. He's going to have to get a couple more, and as he's playing an Attic, his position has been given away. The FAMAS through the wall, though, not doing enough damage. NVK even eats some in return and does not read the rotation from Easily. Now, this could cost him, and it will. But Young gets Slash Hug right before Easily gets MVK. Ryan on the west window will get Young, playing aggressively. That's just going to leave it into a 2-on-2. 13 seconds left. The attackers are now pressed for time. BC makes his way into dorms, and he will secure the site. Ryan taken down, it's all up to Easily. He's going to have to push from the main hallway. It's a nearly impossible push at this point for Rogue, and Necrox is going to lock it out. Evil Geniuses take the match 6-2 in a lot swifter fashion than I think most people were expecting.
I got to give credit to Easily, though. He made some really good rotations there consistently when they weren't looking. Every time they weren't looking, he seemed to take advantage of that, stealthily move to another position. He just could not lock out those end kills, and they knew exactly where he was at. They had him kind of trapped and pinned down in there. Unfortunate situation, definitely put up a good effort, but either way, good effort doesn't get you a win necessarily. You got to stick it. And so for what we thought was going to be a bit closer match, and that's how it always seems to happen, right? The matches that we think should be the closest end up being the biggest disparity.
You know, if I had to describe that match in one word, disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, I did expect it to go a lot longer, or at least go to a tie situation. I would have loved to see a comeback from Rogue, but their weak start just kind of never really turned around too much. We did see some of the rounds turn out a little bit better later on, but it was just never like, oh, this is the turning point.